Let's talk about Breezy.
Christopher Maurice Brown.
Ooh, you know you're in trouble when they say the whole name. Anytime somebody says the whole name, you probably fucked up. Let me read this first, and then you can
All right.
sound off. So Chris Brown said uh, in a post, I don't want to be accepted from none of the mainstream media and fake celebrities. I am king in my own lane. Your fave ain't got shit on me, and they know it. Ain't finna tap dance for approval. You will beg for forgiveness of me. That I do know. That was a couple days ago. And then after that, he said one more thing. He said, there will never be another Chris Brown. Don't wait till I'm gone to realize that. Sound off.
Here's the problem. Chris Brown Chris Brown does the very thing he says he doesn't want, and that's what irritates the shit out of me. You're coming to the public. You're standing up and you're raising your hand and you're saying, "Hey, I don't give a fuck about what you guys think of me." But you do. You do. And here's my thing. I'm
What's your
not
thing?
even mad if you do. If you
Okay.
do, stand in it.
Okay.
Because you can't one week say, "Oh, you guys don't want to invite me to the. You want to downgrade my invite to the function, the
Celebrity All
NBA
Star game.
function."
The Celebrity All Star game.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even want to say the long thing. So I said the
Oh,
function.
my bad.
But you were upset about that, and you were publicly upset about that. And we even found common ground with you when you said that. But then weeks later, literal weeks later, because it hasn't been that long. It's been what, 2 weeks?
I think 3, but still weeks later.
Barely
Even if it was a
3.
month later, it's still weeks later.
Barely 3. Now you don't care about nothing. Now you don't care about people paying attention to you or people, giving you your just due because you a legend in your own right and all of that, and that's fine. That's fine. It's totally fine for you to decide that I don't feel like I'm getting what I want out of this, right? Or I'm not ever going to get out of this what, the average person in my shoes gets out of it. And I see that and I accept that, but it doesn't matter because I'm still selling out shows. I'm still going on tour. I'm still creating music that people get excited about. I told y'all, I came on here and I said, I went on TikTok the one day that he announced his tour, and I don't know where all the videos came from, but I got tons and tons of videos in my feed of people talking about how excited they were that he was going on tour. It's not that Chris Brown doesn't have a fan base. It's not that no one pays attention to Chris Brown. It's nothing like that. And sometimes it just feels like a little kid having a tantrum. And it's frustrating to me because it's like, okay, we got to find the middle ground between you doing really fucked up shit to women and us having to reckon with that and the fact that you're super fucking talented. Where's the middle? I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. And I'm tired of it as someone who really believes in his ability and who really thinks that he is that talented and thinks that had he not done a whole lot of nonsense over the years, especially the big one, but all of it, put all of it together, had you not done all of that, then maybe you would be somewhere different. Maybe you would be revered in a different way. But we have to accept, we all have to accept is different in the sense that he's not gonna get what everybody's gonna get. And he keep coming back and telling us he don't give a fuck about that. That's a lie. This shit started when you were what, 19 years old or something like that. You need to go to therapy and deal with this shit because it's still sitting on him. It's still there. It's still plaguing him. And it's very obvious. And he's a grown man in his 30s and needs to deal with it. So that we don't have to deal with every couple of weeks, we got to deal with him saying, I don't give a fuck what y'all think about me. Yes, yes, you do. And you know what? You're an artist. It's okay for you to be a little sensitive about the way people feel about you. That's fine. I'm not mad at his emotions. I'm not mad that he has emotions. I'm not mad that he feels like his career has taken a turn that he didn't expect for himself. But it's also been 2 decades, and you need to at some point. At some point, it's you need to remind because you keep coming back and telling us, and we know. We've said it. People have bought the concert tickets. People still argue down for you. Even though maybe some people, a lot of people don't think they should. People still defend Chris Brown to this day. And I feel like just go. I appreciate him so much more when he's sitting down and being quiet. And I'm actually really surprised because he's on tour right now, and I don't understand why he has time to tweet or post
Listen,
to his Insta stories.
it's 24 hours in a day. He's got plenty of time to.
That nigga needs some sleep. He be dancing and flipping all over the stage. He needs to go to bed when he's done. He don't need to be worried about what people on the internet are doing. I get that it gets uncomfortable and weird around award season, especially, but he gotta deal with the stuff that's still sitting on his back. He really gotta deal with it.
I didn't know if you was done. Is that it, or is that a dramatic pause?
I'm done.
Oh, okay. Listen,
Said
as
a
you was
lot.
going, listen. When you going off, I don't want to interrupt. You know what I'm saying? I want to let my co-host shine. You know what I'm saying?
Thanks.
No problem, Bob. You know what I mean? Got to get your shit off. I want to make sure you have the freedom and the space to do so. I do have a question. Is okay? Do you think? And I don't know. I'm genuinely asking. This is not a setup.
Mhm.
But do you think that he's complaining and saying he does want these things, or do you think it's that he's calling out the other people's bad behavior because his is constantly called out?
Is that what he's doing?
I'm asking you a question. I'm asking, like, the NBA in the example you brought up is an example of him calling out their bad behavior.
Mhm.
And so I'm asking, do you think that it's him complaining that he's not being treated fairly, and you made the case that he does care about the acceptance and the validity from others. And so I'm asking, do you think that's what it truly is, or do you think that this is him trying to kind of even the playing field because his bad behavior is constantly called out?
With the NBA thing
And,
specifically?
and there's some other examples of that as well.
I mean, I think with the
Like
NBA,
the Michael Jackson tribute that he was supposed to do, and we saw snippets of the rehearsal.
right?
He
So
he was scheduled, and everything was in his mind lined up and looking good, and then they pulled out at the last second. Very similar with the NBA.
so, and I don't think this is a contradiction. I do think that people have done some messed up things to Chris Brown around his reputation. I think that's true.
Okay.
I think that anybody who got invited to be a part of a basketball game and then somebody goes back to them and tells them, sorry, you can't play the basketball game, but you can sit in the bleachers. Or they're
No,
not
no,
bleachers.
front row.
Or you can sit in the audience. I think that's messed up. I don't I think asking someone to perform and they start to gather their things and prepare to perform at a show and then coming back and telling them that they can't perform because again it's behind this thing or this reputation that he has, I think is messed up. But I think that multiple things can be true.
Hmm.
I'm not really mad at him for calling things out. Because I think the way the NBA handled what happened sucks. I don't know if there was another way to handle it, to be honest. I don't know what the right way to handle that is. Because, and we had the whole advertising conversation, but I don't, I don't see, I don't see the NBA going back to the advertiser and telling them, no, we're going to fight for the talent.
Right.
That's not really how that works. It
No.
works in the other way. It's it's very commonplace for an advertiser to say I don't like this, and for wherever they're putting their ads, whatever organization that is, to say, okay, let's figure out how to make this work. That's how you make money. That's not
Right.
so. Chris Brown wasn't going to win in that situation. I'm aware of that. Do I think it's messed up though? Yes, I do. Because I'm just thinking about me. Imagine being invited. I mean, I feel like this has happened. This is like a common thing that has happened to probably a lot of people. Not that, but you ever been invited somewhere and then disinvited? It doesn't
It's not
feel
a good
good when it
feeling.
happens.
Right.
Right. So it's messed up. But I don't know what their alternative would have been. Because the alternative is not to fight for the guy who we know uh, beat one of our beloved singers, pop stars. That's not the that's not the alternative. So I say all that to say I think multiple things are happening here. I think yes, I think he calls other people out because it's kind of like y'all have a lot to say about me, so I'm gonna say something about you. Yes, I think that is definitely at play here. But
Okay.
I also think that, and I don't know if somebody said something about Chris Brown for him to make that first post.
Me either.
I don't, to my knowledge, nothing specific happened.
Yeah, same. I didn't see anything that said that the video was reactionary. I just saw that this is what he said.
Right. And my response to it not being reactionary is what do you want?
Hmm.
What is this supposed how is this supposed to function? What is this supposed to do for you, your mental health? What is it doing for your fans? What is it am I looking too deeply into it? Is it all, reverse psychology? Is it like, he's coming out and he's making noise so that people could change their minds? I don't know. Like I don't know what the end game is, but it feels personal usually from
Okay.
him. And that's what makes me say go deal with your shit because your self acceptance here is important because, like I said, we are all still, I don't know why, but we are all still trying to find that middle ground between what he's done and how talented he is and how much we could support him versus how much we have to be like, well, this is not cool or, you know, we're all still reckoning with that. He doesn't help the situation when he does these like weird public things that he does.
And that's kind of where it's at for me. And I said this on a shameless plug again. I said this on an upcoming episode of Man Cave. But I think that Chris Brown has made a lot of decisions in his career without considering brand and how his brand will be affected. And I think today that is starting to come out more and more. Um, and I'm not speaking specifically about Rihanna. I'm not speaking specifically about women. I mean, as a whole, I
Yeah.
think over many years, he's made a lot of bad decisions where people can publicly see bad behavior of one kind or another. And I think that that has affected his brand in a lot of ways that he was not considering when he made those decisions. Whether that was the Rihanna incident, whether that was throwing a bottle at someone in a club, whether that was stealing an artist's work and then making fun of them publicly, whatever. I think that there are many examples that are still recent where
Remember
we can.
Robert Glasper? Was it Robert Glasper? You remember that? We covered
No.
that.
Didn't we
No.
cover Usher? Oh, when he said he didn't know who Robert Glasper
He
was?
was like, "Who the fuck is this?" or something, and it was like,
Yeah. I totally forgot about that. Yeah, you're right. We did cover that. Um, I think he's just made a lot of bad decisions, and I think today his brand is being affected more and more by those decisions, because they've been so public.
yeah,
Um, and that's I'm speaking about public things we have seen. I'm not even talking about allegations, which is a whole other rabbit hole. And I think today that is affecting Chris Brown's brand in a big way. And I think what Chris Brown needs to start doing, and I think these posts are more of the same uh, public behavior. I think what Chris Brown should start doing is considering his brand and where he wants his brand and legacy to be moving forward. Because it doesn't say that he can't make changes. But as you continue to do bad behavior publicly, as people continue to see bad behavior publicly, well, then, yeah, people are not going to want to give you the shine. People are not going to want to put a crown on your head. People are not going to want to offer you big opportunities, regardless of how big your fan base is or is not, regardless of how many tours you sell out or not. And just look at all the struggles that Kanye has as a prime example of that. A very different brand with very different behavior. But the point is, look at
yeah,
the struggles that Kanye has had booking venues, letting his music getting his music distributed, the battles with Adidas, all of these things. It's similar, although the details are different.
yeah. I, I want better for him, um, just because he is a part and of the culture, and
Right.
he's also an artist that, I mean, we can't be that far in age from Chris Brown, give or
No.
take a year or two.
Yeah,
And
I was
so,
about to say the same thing.
in a lot of ways, like when it comes to certain artists, at least for me, I don't know how you feel about this, but at least for me, when it comes to certain artists, I remember when being young when they first came out, and it's
Yeah,
almost like, I think I've said it before too. It's like we were all kind of growing up at the same time. It's
absolutely.
just that some of us evolved and others maybe didn't as much, right? Like,
Right.
you know, so and that happens when you start out so young. When you often, we find that people get stunted in some ways because they live in this bubble, they exist in this bubble, and they
Mhm.
can't necessarily, they don't see the world the way us normies see the world, so us nobodies. So
Exactly.
so yeah, that's why I keep coming back to the idea that perhaps he needs to reckon with everything. And I'm not just talking about the initial thing, right? I'm talking about all of it. I'm talking about uh, all the things you listed too that are far more recent
Yeah,
than some of the other stuff. He's gotta deal with that, like, because to me, I wouldn't even be coming out and saying, and maybe he read something about himself or something, I don't know. But I wouldn't even be coming out and saying, I don't care about no this, and I don't care about no Grammy. I don't care about, to what end? I'm always confused by that conversation because he's not the only artist who does it. There's plenty of artists who come out and say, It's fine if somebody asked you. It's fine if you were being interviewed, but there are plenty of artists that come out and say things that we didn't ask them for. Man, fuck the Grammys. But you didn't even have an album that was up for consideration this year.
Right.
So what is so he's not the only one who does this, but it's like, okay, we live in a time where we can like you and we can support you without them.
And he's
Maybe,
proof of it.
right. And maybe that wasn't always the case, but the fact that Chris Brown came up when he did is the reason he still has a career today.
And he has a long-standing career, and he's still immensely talented.
Right.
Immensely talented. I mean, I can't paint
Right.
with a brush, let alone my feet.
Chris Brown, I've said this before. Chris Brown can literally do anything.
I
It
agree.
is it is the weirdest thing. It is
Super fly.
annoying to think about sometimes. But he can do anything. Just and I this is just do your homework. If you don't understand what I'm saying, if what I'm saying doesn't resonate with you, then it means you need to do your homework about his skill level when it comes to all things.
Right.
Because it is not just that he can make music effectively. It is not just that he could paint.
Right.
It's not just that he can play basketball. He is an immensely talented human
Yeah.
being. He is, some would argue, some of the
He's
things
somebody.
that he's good at, he's uh, of another world. Like the amount of talent he has
Yeah.
that people don't talk about and people don't discuss.
Right.
He is hugely, hugely, hugely talented. Forget the music. Forget the career itself. But just think about things that people are good at.
Right.
He is a hugely talented person. So I don't want this to come off, anything I said to come off like I don't see his talent, like I don't see what he is worth when it comes to talent. But we
But
gotta
you sick of his shit.
I'm sick of his shit. I really am. Cause he publicly behaves badly, even if it's like little things. Like this is not little, but like think about the Robert Glasper thing. That's probably small compared to some of the other stuff he's done. But it's like,
Yeah.
just shut up.
Yes.
Just. But again, he wouldn't have even been able to say anything about Robert Glasper if he wasn't paying attention to Grammy stuff.
Yeah. I feel you,
So
Claire.
that's what I got.